Most people who are being stalked do not know it at first. That is what makes it so effective. The person following you doesn't announce themselves. They learn your schedule quietly. They memorize your route. They know which car is yours and where you park it. They know when you leave and when you come home. By the time you realize something is wrong, it has already been going on for a while. These are 3 true stories from people who figured it out. Some of them in time. Some of them almost not. Story number 1. The parking structure. I am a nurse. I work 12-hour shifts, 3 days on, 4 days off, and because of that my schedule rotates, which means I am never leaving the hospital at the same time 2 weeks in a row. I mention this because it matters later. The hospital where I work has a large parking structure attached to it. 6 floors, poorly lit on the upper levels, the kind of structure that feels oppressive even during the day. After a night shift, it is genuinely unpleasant to walk through. Most of the nurses I work with carry their keys between their fingers. I never thought that was necessary. I do now. It started in March. I had just finished a night shift, clocked out around 7 in the morning, and I was walking to my car on the 4th floor of the structure. I noticed a man leaning against a support pillar about 30 feet from my car. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, watching me walk. I got in my car and left. I forgot about it almost immediately. 2 weeks later, different shift, different day of the week, completely different time of morning, I was again walking to my car. Same floor, different spot this time. Different man, I thought at first. But it wasn't a different man. It took me a moment because he was dressed differently. But the face was the same. The build was the same. And the posture was the same, that particular way of standing. With his arms crossed and his weight on one leg, just watching. I drove home and sat in my driveway for 10 minutes before going inside. I told myself it was a coincidence. A hospital employee I hadn't noticed before. Someone who parked on that floor. I told myself a lot of things. The 3rd time was on a Tuesday morning in April. Different shift. I hadn't worked a Monday night shift in 3 weeks. There was no pattern for him to follow. No schedule to predict. He was on the 3rd floor this time. Standing near the stairwell door. Not near my car. Just positioned where he could see the entrance from the elevator. He saw me step out and he straightened up. I turned around, went back into the elevator, rode down to the lobby, and asked the security guard at the front desk to walk me to my car. When we got to the 3rd floor, the man was gone. I reported it to hospital security that same day. I gave them a description. They reviewed the parking structure cameras for all 3 dates I gave them. He appeared on the footage each time. Each time he had entered through a different entrance. Each time he had left before any security response arrived. He was never identified. I now park on the 1st floor directly across from the security booth. I do not walk to my car alone. I have not seen him again. But I think about the fact that he knew my schedule when I didn't have one. I still don't understand how that was possible. And I think about it every single time I walk to that car. Story number 2. The green car. I moved to a new city for a job when I was 28. I didn't know anyone there. I had a studio apartment on the 3rd floor of a building with a buzzer system and a locked lobby. I felt safe. I had chosen the building specifically because it felt safe. About 6 weeks after I moved in, I started noticing a car. A dark green sedan, older model. I don't know cars well enough to say what kind. Parked across the street from my building. This is not unusual in a city. Cars park. But this particular car was there every morning when I left for work. And every evening when I came home. I noticed it the way you notice something in your peripheral vision. Not all at once. Gradually. Over about 2 weeks. Then one evening I came home later than usual, around 10 at night, and the car was still there. And as I walked from my own parking spot toward my building entrance, I saw that someone was sitting in it. Just sitting. Engine off. No phone light, no cigarette glow. Just sitting in a dark car across from where I lived. I went inside quickly. I did not look back. I started paying attention after that. The car was not there every single day. Maybe 4 or 5 days a week. Sometimes it was there in the morning but gone by evening. Sometimes it appeared overnight. There was no consistent pattern except that it kept coming back. I wrote down dates. I took photos on my phone, just of the car, from my window. Never close enough to see the plate clearly. After 3 weeks of this, I went to the police non-emergency line. They were polite. They told me that a car parked on a public street was not something they could act on. They told me to call 911 if I ever felt in immediate danger. The car stopped appearing about 2 weeks after that. Completely. Like it had never been there. I have 2 theories. The first is that whoever it was noticed me photographing the car and decided the risk was no longer worth it. The second is that they simply finished whatever they were doing. I moved out 6 months later when my lease was up. I did not renew. I have never been able to fully relax in an apartment since. Story number 3. The porch. I want to tell you the end of this story first, because I think you need to know that I am okay. I am okay. I am safe. The person responsible was caught. I want you to know that before I tell you what happened. Because some of what I am about to describe is difficult. I was 22 and finishing my last semester of college. I lived in a house with 2 other girls, Rachel and Danny, about a 10-minute walk from campus. It was the kind of neighborhood that felt safe, street lights, other students' coffee shops on the corners. Someone had been leaving things on our porch. It started small. A single flower, not in a vase, just a flower, left on the welcome mat. We thought it was from a neighbor. Then a folded piece of paper with no writing on it. Then a photograph. The photograph was of our house, taken from across the street. At night. That was when we called the police. The officer who came was thorough. He took the photograph, took our statements, asked if we had any idea who might be responsible. We didn't. He told us to keep our doors locked, not to approach anyone suspicious, and to call immediately if anything else was left. 3 nights later I woke up at just past 2 in the morning. I am a light sleeper. I always have been. Something had woken me and I lay there in the dark trying to figure out what. Then I heard it. Footsteps on the porch. Slow, deliberate. The old wooden boards creaking under someone's weight. I did not turn on my light. I did not make a sound. I picked up my phone from the nightstand and dialed 911. I whispered to the operator. I told her someone was on my porch. She stayed on the line with me. The footsteps stayed on the porch for 4 minutes. I know because I was watching the seconds tick on my phone. 4 minutes of slow pacing. Back and forth across our front porch. Like someone who was in no hurry. Like someone who had done this before. Then the footsteps stopped. A police car arrived 7 minutes later. They found a man 2 blocks away matching the description from our security camera. We had installed one after the photograph. He was a former classmate. Someone I had spoken to twice in 4 years of school. Someone I had no meaningful connection to. Someone who had apparently decided, for reasons that were never clearly explained, in court, that he had one with me. He was arrested that night. He was convicted. I graduated that May. I moved across the country in June. I still checked my porch every morning before I opened the door. I probably always will. The thing about a stalker is that they rely on your uncertainty. They count on you telling yourself it's a coincidence. That you're being paranoid. That you're imagining it. The people in these stories trusted what they were seeing. They wrote things down. They took photos. They called for help. If something feels wrong, if someone keeps appearing where they shouldn't, if something keeps showing up that shouldn't be there, trust yourself. Document it. Tell someone. Report it. You are not being paranoid. You are paying attention. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for new stories. Stay safe.